continuous entertainment, and I ask you to be there. Now, children under 12 years old will be able to come in free. Today is a very special day, and we do have some special information for you wherever you are, and I want you to listen very carefully. I want you to listen to my show today, not because I'm going to be giving away 100 pounds of chitlins, not because I'm going to give away 2 turkeys, but because I want you to hear what you have never heard before. Because today, the first part of this program is in memory of Aretha Mulder. Aretha Mulder, remembered by many things. But we shall always remember her as being a part of the sit-in movement during those days of the sit-ins, 1958. A smiling face, a hello, a congratulations. But on Thursday at 11 o'clock a.m., Oklahoma City said goodbye to one of the great educators, Aretha Mulder. She will be remembered by many things, for many reasons, and and by many people. But on Thursday, large number of people gathered at the Mount Olive Baptist Church to say goodbye to Aretha Mulder. They were there. Selections by David Carter Jr. with Morris McCraven on the saxophone, Shaletta Lester, Sharon Dewberry warmed our heart with music. The class of 1964 was there, and Stanley Evans expressed a resolution on behalf of that class. There were resolutions read by Bessie Thompson, and then Pastor William Sims delivered the sermon, a comforting sermon, an awarding sermon. And there were special remarks by Aretha's son, Lance Mulder. And this first part of our program today is dedicated to the memory of Lance Mulder's mother, Aretha Evans Mulder. Aretha died on November the 25th. There was a large crowd of people that came from Duncan, Oklahoma. And then there was the classmates, the students, the friends, a family. And today we extend our sympathy to Freddie Mulder, Lance, Melanie, Nicole, and to her mother, Mrs. Faye Evans of Duncan, Oklahoma, to her brothers Joe, Wiley, and to the nieces and nephews, the relatives and friends. Aretha was one of a kind. In a few minutes you will hear from someone that walked with her daily, Randy Decker, the principal of Charles Haskins Elementary School in Edmond, Oklahoma. And you will hear from him in a minute. In the meantime, this portion of our program is brought to you by Robert Gates of Gates Barber Shop, 2609 North Martin Luther King in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Mr. Gates is ready to take care of business. All you will have to do is to go there, and he will give you the kind of haircut that you want. He will let you decide, because once you sit in that chair, Mr. Gates says, what kind do you want? If you want one that reminds you of the good old days, he will give that to you, the present or the future. Be sure and tell him you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Hometown is located at 2201 Northeast 23rd Street in Oklahoma City, and it's open 24 hours for your convenience. Allstate Insurance Company invites you to visit their booth today. Harold Ford will be there. Maryland Hildred will be there. I want you to go there and tell old Harold Ford and old Maryland Luper Hildred how much you appreciate their business, and all of the rest of the Allstate agents that will be there today. Find their booth and be sure and tell them they have all kind of gifts to give away down there today. Tell them you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Yes, Allstate will be there today. And Miss Black, Oklahoma has a booth there. And those of you that want to be pages, escorts, contestants, all you have to do is to go to the Miss Black, Oklahoma booth, and you will be able to sign up for that. Miss Black, Oklahoma City will be held on March the 3rd, 2001, and a state pageant will be on June the 30th, 2001. Well, the first part of this program is dedicated to the memory of Aretha Mulder, a friend, a co-worker, a sister, and a past member of the Wildwood Christian Church. We are talking today. We are talking about Aretha. And I know many of you would like to have the opportunity to speak today. It's very difficult to see one so beautiful, so warm, so loving, so kind. Yes, a difficult situation, but we loved her. And Reverend Sims put it far better than I could put it. Far better than I could put it, because he asked a question. Why is it that a rose will bloom so beautiful and the flowers will soon fall to the ground and the thorns will remain? Today we are very happy that we knew Aretha, that we knew Aretha Evans. We walked with her downtown. We knew Aretha. And today we pause. We pause in memory of Aretha Mulder. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and we are working hard trying to get through to Randy Decker. Well, this portion of our program is being brought to you by Allstate Insurance Company, and Maryland and Harold will be there today. Good morning, Mr. Decker.
Good morning. How are you?
I am fine today, and the first part of this radio show is going out all over the state of Oklahoma. It's in memory of Aretha Evans Mulder. I've told our radio audience that we knew her as a part of the sit-in movement. She worked so hard to bring about a change, but you knew her in a different way, and I would like for you to share that with our radio audience. You are the principal of what school now?
It's Charles Haskell Elementary in Edmond.
And there were a large number of you that attended the found services for Aretha. And now, will you tell my audience about it?
I sure will. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about a friend of mine, Mrs. Mulder. Not only a friend of mine, but a friend of all of the teachers. She was not just a principal, not just a mentor, but she was a friend of ours. I had some words that I'd asked our teachers to share with me, and some of the words I'm going to share with you today are letters that had come from teachers and students that had worked with Mrs. Mulder. This one comes from one of our teachers. At the beginning of Mrs. Mulder's illness, I watched as she gently handed us the news, how she seemed to go about her day unaltered, still focused, unrestrained. As months went by, her spirit stood steadfast, almost inexhaustible. I was mystified by her strength and grace until one day I finally think I understood what it was about. It wasn't about death. It was about living. It was about making sure kids had a safe place to come learn, about encouragement and smiles and red apples that she liked to give to the teachers. This Despite her barrage of medical diagnosis and treatments, her spirit never collapsed. She knew only today, and she unwrapped it with the most grace and wisdom I think I've ever seen. Our last faculty meeting with her showed her greatest faith. In an almost liberating way, she told us not to be sad. In this time when she was so ill, she told us not to be sad. Despite that her winter had set in with a vengeance, she saw spring. She had won. Life to her made sense. I think she had read the manual. That was from Mary Ann Rosenbaum, one of our teachers. You know, Mrs. Mulder always knew what was important and what could wait. At school, children came first to her. I remember Mrs. Mulder's smile when I first interviewed with her back in 1997. As a young teacher wanting an assistant principal job, I was nervous. But when I walked into her office, her smile and her personality just put me at ease right away. Whether it was calming a nervous applicant or comforting a crying child, her smile and kind words could communicate clearly her concern for people. People were what mattered to Aretha. Paperwork was not going to get in the way if someone needed to talk. As Mrs. Shirali, our music teacher, so aptly stated one day, Mrs. Mulder made us feel as though every word we said was important. She always had time to listen. Mrs. Mulder loved the Haskell Rascals, and they loved her. The Rascals were the mascot of Haskell. She made time for them. She had time to sing a solo of Jingle Bells or be a coach or cheerleader at our Haskell faculty student basketball game. Whatever it was, she did it with all her heart, and she went all out. One thing she enjoyed the most, though, I think, was having students read to her in her office. Didn't matter what was going on, she always wanted students to read to her. This week I read some writings from some students in Mrs. Spears' second grade class. A number of them claimed that Mrs. Mulder was their angel. One certain student was Cooper, who had told the story to Mrs. Spears. He came to school on Monday and he said, this was after Mrs. Mulder's death, and he said, Mrs. Spears, Mrs. Mulder is my guardian angel. When Mrs. Spears was a little confused, she said, what do you mean, Cooper? He said, well, on Sunday night, he said, I had gotten in trouble. My parents were about to discipline me, and they got a phone call. It was from Mrs. Spears, and Cooper said, my parents heard that Mrs. Mulder had passed away, and they were so upset. They just didn't have the heart to discipline me. So Cooper said, Mrs. Spears, she's my guardian angel because she got me out of trouble. I thought that was kind of funny because even after her passing, Mrs. Mulder was still helping children. She was dedicated to protecting children. Anytime she looked at an issue, she would always ask this question, is it good for kids? She taught me that that's the way we should look at everything when dealing with our students. When she taught at Russell Doherty, she didn't just protect kids, she protected things that maybe nobody else would. One year, a family of skunks had set up residence under her portable building where she had class. She refused to allow our maintenance department to evict those stinky tenants because the baby skunks were too young to survive if they were removed. She decided that her class and she would live with the smell, but they weren't going to remove those baby skunks. That's dedication. One thing I remember about Mrs. She would add creativity and style to anything that she did. She had a classy way about how she did everything. No matter what the job was, she would add her style to it. When she hired me in 1997, we came to Haskell. We were looking for a good classroom management tool that could be used to quiet over 600 students when we were in large assemblies, a way to get students' attention. We decided on a phrase called "Give me 5." Now, "Give me 5" meant 5 things. We wanted students to have listening ears. We wanted their eyes to be on the speaker. The third thing, we wanted their mouth to be quiet. We wanted their body to be still. And the last thing is hands-free. So when we asked for students to give us 5, we would hold up our hand and have 5 fingers held up, and that meant we wanted the students to give us those 5 things so that they could listen. On the day we had decided to introduce this concept to the students, I thought we were just going to talk about it, but Mrs. Mulder decided she had a more creative way to deal with it. She comes out, she hands this glove to me and says, "Here, put this on." On that glove, she had numbered each finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on the back, she had the description of what each one meant. Number 1 was listening ears. Number 2 was eyes on the speaker, and so on. This was her way to teach it. She added her distinctive fingerprint to what would have been, had I taken care of it, an ordinary procedure. Another thing I remember about Mrs. Mulder was she took pride in her school. She treated it just like it was her home. It was not unusual to see Aretha walking around, picking up pencils off the floor or pieces of paper or trash. You'd see her straightening coats as she walked through the building, or hanging up backpacks that had fallen on the floor. She would even organize the lost and found, which I'm not sure why we did that, but she would do that. She would clean off counters. It didn't matter what it was. One thing she certainly enjoyed doing was changing bulletin boards. She always liked to have a new bulletin board up with each season. It didn't matter whose job it was. If it needed to be done, Mrs. Mulder did it. One thing I remember is, as a teacher, nothing makes you more proud than to see your students putting to use the skills and principles you taught them. Mrs. Mulder got a kick at her retirement assembly last month because she enjoyed seeing an example of students putting to use what she had taught them. While waiting to present Mrs. Mulder with a gift from the students and faculty, Wesley Jackson, a fifth grader in our school, noticed that the students, 600 strong, were beginning to get a little too loud. Without hesitation, Wesley raised his hand, put his microphone to the lips, and called out, "Give me 5." Instantly, hundreds of hands went up in the air, mouths stopped talking, and attention was placed squarely on Wesley. They went quiet, like I hadn't seen in a long time. Mrs. Mulder turned to me and just began to laugh, gave me that big smile of hers, and said, "We did it," as she gave me a high five. While at school, Mrs. Mulder, one thing I remember, she rarely talked about her illness. She didn't want to talk about being sick. She wanted to talk about living. She preferred instead to talk about the teachers and students that she loved. However, one day last summer, as we were sitting in the offices, she had returned from the doctor, and I simply asked her, "How you doing?" She told me, she said, "Randy, the doctors are doing everything they can." But she said, "If they can't find a cure, if it doesn't work out," she said, "I'll see you in heaven." That was one goal, one dream she knew was going to happen. I know that I'm looking forward to that day when I get to see her again. And I'm not for sure exactly how it's going to go. I kind of imagine that when she sees me, she'll probably give me that big smile, then maybe slap a glove in my hand with 5 numbers written on it and say, "Come on, we got work to do. We got some people that need to be quiet." Of course, I don't know, maybe up in heaven, I don't think we have to be quiet anymore, so we may not have use for that glove. I want to share with you, in closing, a poem that was written about Mrs. Mulder this past week, that was written by one of our teachers, Mandy Turner. I hope that it'll bless you as much as it has blessed me. It's called "The Memory of Her Smile." The memory of her smile in our lives has left a light, and her dreams will keep us striving to do the best with all our might. The memory of her laughter will remind us of her sweet spirit, and the joys she has brought us will help to keep us near it. The memory of her passion for the children will live on for years to come. The students will remember her love and what for them she has done. We know that a certain time comes when we all too soon must part, but saying goodbye won't come easy with her footprints still left on our hearts. We're so thankful we've been blessed with Mrs. Mulder, even for just a while, because when all us Haskell rascals get together, we'll have the memory of her smile. That was from Mandy Turner, one of our teachers at Charles Haskell Elementary. And there were so many memories of Mrs. Mulder, we couldn't begin to get them all told, because there were just so many of them. But I appreciate the opportunity, Mrs. Luper, of being able to share some of the thoughts of a good friend of mine that I was blessed to have the opportunity to work with.
Thank you, and may God continue to bless you as you carry on the work.
I appreciate it. May God bless you as well.
Oh, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was the principal of Charles Haskins School in Edmond, Oklahoma. That portion of our program was brought to you by Marilyn Hildred of Allstate Insurance Company. You may call her on Monday at 8430811, but you can see her today at the Big African Expo. Leo's Barbecue, where you can get some ready-made barbecue at 3631 North Kelly in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Are you looking for a daycare center? I recommend Johnson Shardinas, located at 1643 Northeast 50th Street, owned by Mrs. Gloria and Mr. Paul Matthews. And they are so happy because their main staff member is back, and we would like to welcome her back to Johnson Shardinas. In Johnson Shardinas, the children are getting that special care, having the opportunity to read and to listen and to develop skills that they will use the rest of their lives. I think Mrs. Salonia Bennett wrote stories about children say some of the funniest things, and certainly they do that at Johnson Shardinas, 1643 Northeast 50th Street. The telephone number is 424-4656. And if you are looking for somewhere that your children will be safe and be protected, be sure and remember Johnson Shardinas, 424-4656. When you think of carpet, think of Discount Carpet, 501 Northwest 23rd Street. No, I keep thinking about 501. He's not there anymore. He's at 4304 and on Penn Avenue, 4301 South Penn Avenue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Now, he has the same telephone number, 525-6700. You know, so many of you call me and say, oh, I'm having so much trouble, I can't find a home. I'm going to tell you about some houses that you can get at Carbon's Real Estate. Get your pencil out because there's a big house, 4 bedrooms, 213 Northwest 84th Street. 4 bedrooms, 213 Northwest 84th Street, 2 baths, a garage. And it could easily be, there's a family room, 1 carport, 2 beds upstairs and 2 beds downstairs, formal dining, and it's priced to sell. Will you call Ruth Dukes for me? The telephone number is 427-8311. You're looking for some commercial property? At 2213 Martin Luther King Avenue, there are 200 feet along Martin Luther King, 132 feet deep, 3 metal buildings, all come with this property. 2 of the metal buildings are being used as a used car lot, a real bargain. I want you to call Carl Carbon, 427-8311. Just think, commercial property on North Martin Luther King. There's a neat 2-bedroom den at 2309 East Park Avenue, formal dining, utility rooms, low price, at a price you can afford. Would you like 2 acres at Northeast 48th and Richardson? The perfect place to build your dream house. 2 acres. Call Carl Carbon, 427-8311. All listed at Carbon Realty Company. 3209 North Lindsay, there's a 3 beds, 1 bath, and it's on sale. If you are serious about a home, call Carl Carbon. The telephone number, once again, 427-8311. And finally, I want to tell you about a piece of property that I know you will want, 2136 North Kellam. This property is very cheap. You can buy it today. Call today at 427-8311 and be sure and tell Mr. Carbon you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Today I'm going to give away chitlins, Calvin.
Well, Mom, you should, because first of all, let me say it. Good morning, Mom. It's such a pleasure, such a thrill to be here and to be a part of this Clara Luper radio show on such a nice, crisp Saturday morning. You know, I want to join with you and the rest of the staff and our entire family in expressing our condolences to Aretha's family, to the Molders, to Freddie, and to the kids and the grandkids, because we all go back a long way. In 1819 Northeast Park, where instead of having cheerleaders practice at Douglas High School, Merlin and Aretha would have it there on Park Street. And we have some very beautiful memories of a very beautiful young lady, not only in appearance, but in attitude. And one thing about it, Mom, it didn't change over the years from 1961, 1958, and until just the other day. Still had a beautiful personality and beautiful friend. Going to miss you dearly, but one thing about it, you left some precious memories, and you made some good friends right here. And I know, and from the way Brother Randy was talking, I know you did the same thing there in Edmond. And that's what's so good about it. When you start out right, it's kind of hard to go wrong, you know. But Aretha and Freddie, we'll miss Aretha, but Freddie, you know we'll all be there for you if you need us. You know, that's a long relationship. That's OSU days, OU days, four blacks on campus, and we'd have to holler at each other. But, Mom, I'm ready for today's show because I know that you have some chitlins available. I know you have some great
I'm going to give away 100
turkey.
pounds of chitlins.
I know you have a dinner available from Stale's Restaurant.
And a dinner from
Tom's Barbecue. Got something special
I
there
got a haircut from Gates and a haircut from Adams.
And
I have it.
Adams Clinic, Adams Barber College, Adams Enterprises there on Northeast 23rd Street. But good things will be happening. So what you need to do now is to call that friend, call that neighbor, and invite them to be a part of this, the Clara Luper Radio Show. The phone number out here is 672-1220. You must, I say again, you must answer the question correctly. If you answer it correctly, we'll let you know, and you'll be put on hold. At that time, quickly give your name, your phone number, and your address so that you can receive that beautiful certificate that you can take to Hometown IGA there on Northeast 23rd and Martin Luther King and receive your prize. Because at Hometown IGA, the Clara Luper Radio Show, we want you to have a great, a blessed, a beautiful, a bountiful holiday season. Christmas, the Thanksgiving is past. We want you to be ready for Black History. So, Mom, I'm ready for that first question. We got callers lined up.
One thing about it, all eyes have been on the Supreme Court, this United States Supreme Court this week, but I'm extremely interested in that court because there will be a case I hope that will be coming up, and it's being headed by Attorney Cochran.
Attorney Johnny Cochran has a case
and
coming
that is that all of the descendants of slaves will be repaid.
I'm sure they're not going to do that right after.
They might do that. I'm interested in that case.
Now, you're talking about a trial
because it's really going to be interesting. As well, they have paid they put the Japanese in California in concentration camps and paid them. And they are paying Indians for their land, and I told you that when I ran for the United States Senate, they need to pay blacks for their labor. And there will be more people be black then than you can imagine. But I don't know. I know what's going to happen.
1/8 black.
Yeah, because
black.
let's just put out a figure. Suppose you could prove that you were a descendant of a slave, and I can prove that. And you have integrated. You're half black, and they give away $20,000. You won't get but $10,000. And suppose you're a fourth black, you won't get but a fourth of that. But I bet it'll be more people claiming to be black than you can imagine. Well, my eyes are on the Supreme Court.
All right, Mom. Your eyes, but your first question is. But Mom, before you ask that question, I'm wondering if you're really ready for today's show. Who is the President of the United States?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm asking you that.
President Clinton is the President of the United States. Okay, here's the first question. Okay. Who was the first black college graduate? He graduated, I think, in 1826. Who was the first black college graduate? That's the first question.
All right, we're ready, Mom. 672-1220 is the phone number. Good morning. Welcome to the Clara Luper Radio Show. I hope you have the correct answer. How are you doing? Hello?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
That's Coco. How are you doing, Coco?
This is Coco Thomas, your fantastic reporter. I hope that everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I'm sorry about last Saturday. I was in Ohio. Please don't forget the NAACP Youth Council meetings that are every Monday night at 7 o'clock. And I hope to see you all there. This is Coco Thomas, your fantastic reporter.
Thank you, Coco.
You gonna let her get away that easy? Coco, yes. What part of Ohio were you?
I was in Dayton, Ohio, and I visited Cincinnati.
All
Okay.
right. Calvin, I would have the opportunity to speak on Tuesday, December the 5th at 11:30 a.m. at the PTA annual holiday luncheon. That's a
Where,
great
Mom?
opportunity
What
to
kind
be
of
at the
PTA?
Home Builders Association building in the Regal Room at 625 West I-44 Service Room. There will be about between 150 and 200 school administrators, school staff, and PT officers from the different district schools. And it's quite interesting. And those of you that would like to come, and you can just pay to hear Clara Luper speak. Isn't that
Oh,
something?
well, that sounds
Okay,
good.
we
Let's
have an
remind
answer.
people of that.
Let's have an
All
answer,
right, we have
please.
a caller. Hopefully, we have a correct answer. And I know I'm ready, and I think they're ready. Good morning. Welcome to the class.
At that time, she left, and as she left the room, she said, "If the shoe fits, wear it." Then she stated in a loud tone of voice, "So you have a problem, not me." She gathered her things and left the classroom. Now, during the incident, her fellow classmates were quiet. After she left my class, the behavior of the remaining students in the classroom was astonishment. A couple of my students commented that her behavior was the same in other classes. Now, Lady Ruth Hunter and I had the opportunity to represent this young lady who tells a different story. She said that first she asked a question about the assignment, and then that's when the teacher got upset, and she repeated back to her. The teacher did not answer the question about the assignment. Rather, she told her to leave the classroom, but she did not call her name. Now, I asked that teacher if she had had the experience of any student asking her questions. She said, "Oh, yes, I allow students to ask questions." And there were three white students that had signed up as witnesses for Kimmy. That in the classroom, there were students that were free to ask questions. But she said that Kimmy asked it in not a normal voice. Then I asked this educator, Mrs. Pierce, what is a normal voice for a student? And she tried to demonstrate it. And it was the most pathetic thing that I'd ever heard in my life. Because what she called a normal voice, I would not call a normal voice. What she called loud, I would not call loud. Evidently, she had not had any experience in the real world. Then I asked her, what did she say? How did she disrupt the class by asking a question? Because the class started at 9:30, and that question was not asked until near the closing of the class. And she said that the students were quiet after that event. Then I asked her, was it noisy before the event? She couldn't answer that. I am saying to this lady, I said, now, you're telling me that here's a student who's making A's and B's, and I think she has three C's on her transcript, to leave your classroom. Did you call her name at first? No, I said leave. Well, she didn't know you were talking to her because she couldn't understand. Well, to go on and on, the lady said that she was terribly upset, and to such an extent that the next day, now they told this girl, Mrs. Johnson, say that she would expel. And let me read that to you because I couldn't believe it, and don't know whether you would believe it or not. And that was an incident. But for that incident, this girl was sent home. She's to be sent home from Oklahoma City Community College for a period of 1 year. Have you ever in your life heard of such injustice? Well, we say that this university had taken away the rights of this student based upon the 14th Amendment, based upon freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And that young lady told me, Mrs. Pierce, that she had never had a student to talk back to her, and she'd been teaching for years. Now, I didn't believe her, but that's what she said. She said that this girl disturbed her to such an extent that she couldn't. But I was so happy that I could look in her eyes, and in her eyes I saw something that's deep. And that situation out to Oklahoma City Community College is deeper than you think. In a time when people are encouraging people to stay in school and somebody gonna send somebody out. Well, it may be the teacher was out of complete control in a classroom. And I asked her, would she teach this young student again? And she proudly said no. Now, I have to remind her that that is a state-supported school. The state is paying her salary, and I didn't know that you had certain students that you had to teach. Well, anyway, we will see what happens next week, and all eyes will be on Oklahoma City Community College.
Oh, Mom, that sounds good. I'm still trying to figure out what happened. Let me make sure. Let me synopsize this.
Yes,
Okay.
synopsize.
Okay, one time, this lady goes to a class. Okay, a student goes to the classroom where the teacher is. Student asks teacher question. Teacher does not like the question student asks or the tone of voice
She doesn't like the tone of voice
that the student asks it in. Student gets kicked out of class. Teacher justifies her being kicked out of class because she didn't like the question.
She say that disobeyed student code 1, 3, and 6, and we went through that. See, that student code say that you got to have force. I asked her, did she use force? No, you got to.
But she didn't like the tone.
She didn't like the tone.
Student appeals decision of teacher
to a committee.
Committee invites the student and teacher there. Teacher and students still cannot get along.
The teacher had one witness, and we had 3 witnesses, and 2 witnesses were there to testify. And teacher they were white students say that girl did not disturb no class.
Teacher says she don't want to teach the student anymore.
That's
student says she wants to continue education. Oklahoma City Community College says that you're suspended for 1 year. What is it? What will the committee? What was the committee's decision on this?
They have not handed down a decision. We are waiting on that decision.
Sound like Oklahoma City Community College don't know the difference between student rights and teacher rights. Well, okay, Mama, we'll figure all that out.
Okay,
I'm sure
well, I just wanted to tell everybody.
Let's get this question out because we have some chitlins here that are starting to melt.
I'm going to ask 2 questions because I got to make up for lost time.
Okay.
When we saw the people practicing before the Supreme Court yesterday, I want to know who was the first black to practice before the Supreme Court.
672-1220 in case you've forgotten. And we have a caller that is ready. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Clara Luper Radio Show.
Good morning, Calvin. No, I'm not calling to answer the question. I was calling because I was just listening to Mrs. Luper talking about a student that was kicked out of class because she asked a question and told the teacher that she felt the assignment was too much. So from what I can gather from that, and I stand to be corrected, that in that class you are not supposed to ask questions, and you are not supposed to tell them or express any idea of your own in that classroom. So to me, you're supposed to go to that class and sit and listen to that teacher and not ask questions. Just do what she say and get up and walk out. I'm wondering if this is where we are today in our society.
Okay, how many blacks were in that class? You were there, and you
There's only one black.
One black.
That is the student that she put out of her class. Is the one black student, the only black student that she had. And to ask that question, I didn't see any reason why anybody would put somebody out. And because the student said that's too much homework, if I had been the teacher, I would say, fine, this is my assignment.
But that teacher didn't answer, and
no,
they had a policeman.
Get out of the classroom.
They had a policeman at the door, and the saddest part of this,
a policeman
was at the door the next day, and the sad part of it was a black policeman standing there with a white professor to keep a black student out of a
classroom.
And that was his name is Officer Hinton, and we talked to the chief of police, and he said he was off duty. We asked Mr. Hinton to call us. He refused to call us. So Mr. Hinton become just like those people down in Alabama that stood at the door to keep Miss Arthurine Lucy out of the university.
Oh, man, this is really,
and all things in the world, I've never.
This is really good. Here you are. You got a teacher that don't want student to ask questions. Student complain. Teacher and committee meet. Bring color thing in. Bring black officer to block the doorway so student cannot continue education. Black officer primarily because if it had been a white officer, still the same effect. But here you are,
a black
using us to fight against
hard
ourselves.
as we had, the time that we had getting black policemen in
Oklahoma, what is it?
Oklahoma City Community College.
Community College, and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing. I can see putting them out of class, but to put her out of school
For a whole year.
And I'm wondering.
There was some
I want our
questions she
society
asked.
to look at that.
You sure we got the right
You're
question?
today,
You're
Calvin.
giving me too much
We like
homework.
this.
Don't come back here for a year. Nah, that
I'm
don't
wondering,
work.
where are we going?
I know my students would really have, they ask me questions all the time. In fact, I had Jesse Carroll to call me from Florence, Arizona yesterday to ask me a question. And later I'm going to have to let you go because I got to get rid of these chitlins and these old turkeys.
Six,
Well,
seven-
fine. I'm sorry, but I did want to comment that in that class, the thing that I got, that you don't ask questions. You
If you're
don't
black.
say anything.
If you're black.
If you're black, you just go in and you walk out.
Well, the question
if you
is-
ask the teacher a question, you're
here come
challenging the
another
teacher.
question.
I wonder about all of that. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mrs.
Okay,
Hunter.
a lot of other
Thank you for
people
going
are
out there and being part of that
Call the
committee.
president.
672-1220 is the
His
number.
name is Todd, and he's finally responsible. Yes.
You
I'd
ready?
like to answer the question about the first one that practiced at the application for
Okay,
the
tell us.
Thurgood Marshall.
No.
You would like to answer.
You would
You
like to,
tried.
but you didn't answer.
All right, let's
Get
go
off of
ahead
this
to the
line,
next
girl. It
caller.
wasn't Thurgood
Say
Marshall.
what? Say what?
Okay.
Maybe we
Let
need
me
to
throw
call
a
the
lot of
police and
questions
send
out
that
because
person
I've
down.
got to get all these questions. I'm going to throw all of
No,
these
don't throw 'em
questions
out.
out.
Let's start
I've got
first.
to because my time is about to
Okay,
run
well,
out.
let's try this
I'm
call.
gonna ask all of these
672-1220.
Who is a mother of the civil rights movement?
Okay.
Who was the first black member of the Oklahoma House of Representatives? Who was the 35th president of the United States? Who was the first black to serve as a member of FCC? Who established the first black beauty college in Oklahoma City? Who was the first black to have the office in the state capitol? Now, I want you to answer those real quickly for me. One
Any
at a time.
question.
Any other.
Any question.
Okay,
Good morning.
let's-
Thank you for calling Clara Luper Radio Show. 672-1220 is the number you now. Hope you're a winner. Tell me the correct answer.
The 35th president was
What did she say?
Yes.
President Clinton.
Who?
President Clinton.
Get off of that
No,
app,
you
girl.
missed
What's
on
wrong
all
with
the
you?
questions.
The 35th
Okay.
president of the United States.
All right,
Okay.
we have another call
Okay,
on
let's
another
go.
line, Mom. I think we'll try to hook up with
Okay,
them.
okay.
Hopefully they have a correct answer.
Okay, give it to me.
672-1220 is the number you just called.
The
Thank you for
35th
calling.
president of the United States is John F. Kennedy.
You are exactly,
Okay.
you are exactly right.
Okay, what we're going
John
to
F.
do, put you
Kennedy.
on hold.
And what
Give
is
us
your name?
Francis Deloney.
Francis Deloney. Way
okay.
to go, Francis.
Let's go with the
Okay,
answer to
Francis,
another
we have
question.
your address, so you we'll just get back with you.
Okay,
Make
let's
a
get
note.
another question.
Okay, question. 672-1220.
I got
for
the
answer.
questions out. I need an answer.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
do we
we
have
have
an
a
answer?
caller.
Okay, hello?
Francis, I have your
Yes.
I'm calling to
any question.
question about the 35th president.
Oh, that's been, they just, Francis
ma'am.
just answered that one. So get another one.
The first black beauty college.
Okay, who's that?
Now dual fuel.
You are exactly right. And what is your name?
I'm Peggy Anderson.
Okay,
Okay,
Peggy,
go,
you are
Peggy.
exactly right with your pretty
Peggy's a
self.
repeat winner
Okay,
also. Peggy,
let's
I have
go.
your address. I have your phone number.
Let's go.
Make sure so
Who
we
was the
moving
first
right
black
on,
to
man.
have an office at the state capitol?
672-1220 is the number to call for the correct
I'm
answer.
trying to get all this out. Who invented the cotton
Go
gin?
slow, Mom. You gotta give us humans a chance to punch the button.
Okay,
and
now
put
you
us
were
on there.
asking a question. You know, if you ask a question at Oklahoma
672-1220.
City Community College
You
in
get
this
kicked
teacher's
out.
class, you get kicked out.
You want us to kick you out of the studio? No, because this is
Okay,
the Clara
okay,
Luper Radio
okay,
Show,
okay,
live
let's
and in
have
living
it.
color,
Let's
December
have it.
2nd.
Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. Are you ready?
No,
Oh.
they aren't ready. They don't know
just
the
about ready,
answer.
Mom.
They don't even know who was the first black to practice
They
in
know
front
the
of the
answer.
Supreme Court.
Okay, we'll try it again. How you doing?
Okay, I
okay,
told
we're
you. They
listening.
just
I
thought.
won something else, Jason.
You have what?
I won last week and I didn't win. Hello?
Yes.
I'm ready. Tell us the correct answer, please.
I think the lines are crossed up.
They aren't crossed up. We're waiting on your correct answer. That's what's crossed up.
One.
I didn't hear you.
She just answered one.
Oh, this Peggy?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
Peggy,
Peggy,
thanks
I
a
got
lot.
your address and phone number.
Okay,
Don't worry
here
about
we
it. Just
go.
hang up, okay?
Here we go. Who was the Mississippi field secretary that was assassinated? He was a martyr for the cause of freedom.
Well, Peggy's a repeat winner.
Oh, and Peggy's off the line. Let's
Mom, I'm
somebody
trying
else
to,
on,
just-
Calvin. I don't have but 5 minutes, and I want to
But
give
you-
away these.
Well, you was at Oklahoma Christian College, Oklahoma City.
Don't you say Oklahoma
Community
City. Don't you
College.
Oklahoma City
All that
Community
time, you didn't rush,
I'm gonna
Black Chief
I'm gonna
Hinton.
answer one of the questions that was
Answer.
answered earlier.
the mother of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks.
You're exactly right. And who is this?
This is Salonia A. Bennett.
Okay,
Oh,
Salonia
hey,
Bennett. Salonia Bennett, you got it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you that big old turkey. Salonia Bennett got a turkey. Okay, let's go for another question.
I have her address and phone number.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we're ready.
Hello. The first black to have an office at the state capitol was Ira D. Hall.
You're exactly right.
Is that
Who
right?
is this?
This is Dwayne Hall, David Hall.
Dwayne Hall, David Hall. You're exactly right. Ira Hall, you're exactly right.
Is that
I've
right?
got to get all these questions answered because I got to get rid of these chitlins.
Well, Mom, one thing, Hometown IGA and the Clara Luper Radio Show, we want to get rid of these chitlins.
Who was the greatest black labor organization of all times? He organized the sleeping porters or whatever you want to call him. What was his name?
I don't know, but
Okay,
let's
I'm
call him
finding
right
him
now.
out.
Good
Okay.
morning. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. I was answering the question about the cotton gin
Okay.
Yes,
here on Whitney.
you're exactly right. And what is your name?
Rose Harris.
Rose Harris. It's all yours,
Okay,
Rose.
Okay, Rose, you need to stay on and
In
give
what
us the
year did
address.
Ralph Ellison
I
publish
will.
The Invisible Man? In what year
So that's
did
line.
Ralph Ellison publish The Invisible Man? Oh, that's
what
easy.
year? Okay.
Everybody knows that because we have a library that's named after.
Okay, Mom.
I want you to come down to the Black Expo today, the African Expo. And be sure and look me up because I have something special for you.
we all
You know,
should
one
be
thing
there.
I like about being Clara Luper, you speak to me, and that gives me so much class.
Well, we have a caller that has the correct answer.
Okay.
Thank you for calling on this, a beautiful Saturday, the first day of the African Expo. Good morning. Give us the correct answer.
I want to answer on one of the questions
Give us
Okay.
any answer.
about the field secretary.
About what?
The field secretary.
Yes,
Give it to us.
Medgar Evers.
you're right. And who is this?
It's the Big D, Big Daddy.
Okay.
Big Daddy, we
okay.
need your correct address and your correct phone
Because
number.
your letter came back.
Your letter came back. Put him on hold, make sure we got it.
Kevin, I got to tell people about Adams Barbershop, 1517 Northeast 23rd Street. Stale's Restaurant, where you get that good old soul food, 1100 Northeast 23rd Street. Petite Salon, who has a sale on, a Christmas sale, 1917. Northeast 24th Street. Rodale Hornbeak is still selling them beautiful cars down the Vance Motor Company. Holiday greetings are extended to you by Ross Funeral Home, 2936 Northeast 36th Street. Lamar's Beauty Supplies that will take care of all of your beauty needs at 1736 Northeast 23rd Street. Tom's Barbecue, where you can get that good old barbecue, and they got a special going today, 2504 Northeast 10th Street. Holiday greetings from Temple Funeral Home, 2801 North Kelly in Oklahoma City. Crawley's at 718 Northeast 36th Street is your bondsman.
Bondsman, that's my main bondsman, 24-hour service.
Ted Hamlin is still selling those
Real
homes,
estate.
and Ted will sell you something. Call him at 755-9052. Don't forget that hairstyle by Javon. And that good old food at 3700 Spring Lake Drive, where you can get it. It says stop and get the kind of food you want.
Mom, you think we have time to get 2 questions in, and we have one dinner for Stales and one dinner for Tom's Barbecue?
Yeah, but you know Berlin's Nero's birthday was yesterday.
I know,
and
I know.
He is just dying for you to sing happy
Well, I
birthday
don't want him
to
to
him.
die on me
Well,
now.
those of you that want to sign up for anything, come down to the Afro-American today. Give me the answer to the questions, please.
Okay, do we have a caller that's ready?
No,
No,
we
we don't.
We don't
Okay.
know the answer.
Well, what we do, Mom, we're running out of time, I see. Okay, we got one caller. Give us
Okay.
the correct answer quickly.
Hello?
Give
Yes.
us the correct answer.
Yes, you mentioned about the Porters
Give us
Railroad.
one. Yes.
That was A. Philip Randolph,
You're
Correct.
exactly right. And who is this?
Gerald Beasley.
All right,
Okay,
girl. go
hold,
on.
hold tight. We're going to put you on hold and get your correct name and address. All right, Mom, this is Saturday, December the 2nd, down at the Myriad Convention
I
Center.
have
The
some
African
questions
Expo is
down
going
there.
on.
If you come to my booth, I'll ask you a question because I got
African
four
Expo.
more. I have 4 more. I have 40 more pounds of chitlins to give away and 1 more turkey. Come down there and
Well,
answer my question.
I want to
Kevin,
remind
you
you.
better sing.
I am, Mom.
You better
I
sing.
I am,
Okay.
because I want to remind everybody Tuesday, December the
Okay,
5th.
you don't have
that you
to
will be
remind them.
speaking. I'm
Just
just wanting to
sing,
know.
Calvin,
I got to
sing.
just sing.
Sing happy
Calvin.
birthday.
Come from your heart. We got a little
You
time.
better
Brother
say-
Gates, Robert Gates, happy birthday to you. Burley and Nero, co-singing with me with the Weekend Singers.
You better
happy
hurry up.
birthday to you.
You better hurry up and get
The
off
great
there.
crowd there at the African Expo. Happy birthday to the African
You
Expo.
better
So here
sing,
it comes from the
Calvin.
heart from the Weekend Singers. Happy birthday to you, Berlin, Robert Gates, and African Expo. Happy birthday to you, and may you
Okay,
have
Calvin, that's
many.
it. This is Clara Luper. Stay tuned for one of the. Stay tuned. This is Clara Luper. Come on down to the Afro-American. I have some chillings for you.
Myriad
if you can ask a
Convention
question.
Center.
Bye-bye. At the Myriad Convention Center. Bye-bye.
KTLV.
Mm.